Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. In this video, I had the pleasure of having a collaboration with Sue Smith. She has extensive knowledge about Harry and Meghan, their history, and also the royal family. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. Also, I highly recommend you go give her a subscribe. Here's all her information. And without any further ado, here is the collab. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited today. I am joined by Sue Smith. Hi, Sue.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to ask you a couple of questions. The Yesterday I noticed that you posted a video of the German documentary, and you know what? Why don't you go ahead and tell me what it was?
Well, the ZDF in Germany has been announcing for months and months and months that they're going to do a video on a look-see on, we were told, Meghan Markle. Her life before Harry, there were going to be all kinds of bombshells. Then all of a sudden in July, we were told that the whole thing had been put on pause because they needed to do some more fact checking. I personally believe that Meghan got her attorneys after them, just like she threatened Tom Bauer and Valentine Lowe not to publish their books, but they went ahead anyway. And of course, we know that she's never sued either one of them because you can't sue when things are true. So, but I think ZDF folded and they ended up doing a video that had nothing to do with Meghan before she met Harry. And suddenly this video came out and it was in German. And when you translate from German to English, it's not an exact translation. It loses a little something in the translation. So since my husband is from the Munich area and a native German speaker, I asked him to take one for the team, watch the documentary, and tell me what the hell was being said. And he did.
That's great. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about the documentary, and I'm
Okay.
also going to include a link to your YouTube video so other people
Okay.
can watch the summary of how your husband described it to you.
Okay.
So after you watched it and after your husband also watched it, what do you think was the overall tone of the documentary? Did you feel that they're trying to take sides, or do you think it was more balanced?
I would almost say it was balanced, but it almost seemed to me and to my husband like it was a pro Harry, anti Meghan documentary. Like somehow they were trying to say that Harry, when he's not around Meghan, is a different person, and that all of her projects are failing, and it just seemed very pro Harry, anti Meghan Markle.
I have to admit, when I was watching your video, that's what I felt too.
Yeah,
I felt there was a lot of glowing stuff about Harry and not about Meghan. And
exactly.
there's a couple of articles that came out over the last few days about how Meghan is upset about that documentary.
Yes.
And because it does show her in not the greatest light and it boosts Harry. I noticed that also.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think were the most striking criticisms or negative points about Harry or Meghan in the documentary?
Well, first of all, let me just say about the documentary itself. They put out a lot of incorrect information, which I was absolutely shocked that they had taken so long to do it, and then they didn't even put out a lot of truthful stuff. Um, I think they pointed out some really good stuff, like the fact that in 5 years, if Harry and Meghan don't have any deals and they don't have any money coming in, they are not going to be able to maintain their lifestyle. And what are they going to do then? You know, um, the biggest thing that I noticed about Meghan, the biggest criticism of Meghan, I think, on Harry was the neighbor. Because remember, Harry gave an interview to, believe it was to Hoda, where he said, "The United States is my home, and our neighbors have embraced us, and they love us, and they're great with us." And then you had a neighbor on there going, "They don't talk to us. We never see them. Harry's best friends are his dog and his security. He's an asset to the neighborhood. She is not." But I
Yeah.
just thought, wow. The neighbors obviously pointed out that Harry used to speak to them, used to be friendly, and no longer is. And that speaks a little bit about what might be going on with the dynamic of Harry and Meghan themselves, that he doesn't feel that he can even talk to the neighbors.
I noticed too that the neighbor in when I'm reading articles, he's mentioning that Megan is not even contributing to community things like doing any
Correct.
community work. So all of this show up and do good, she's not even applying that to her own neighborhood. I do remember though, just a couple months ago, she did do that where she went to that school and she was with all the little kids, but all she talked about was how she's
Yes.
the most bullied person in the world. So even
Yes.
that was,
Which is not true.
yeah, it's not true.
It's not
Um,
true.
yeah, I mean, I feel like people criticize the work that all of us in this community do, but all we're doing is providing constructive criticism if only she would take it. But she doesn't seem to the type to be able to, step back and yeah,
She can't. She doesn't take criticism of any kind, constructive criticism of any kind.
I hear you. I noticed that. I mean, that's why she has to be the CEO of her company because
Everybody's like, oh, they're so surprised. She just decided to be the CEO. What she wanted to do was start this company, hand it off to somebody else, and just get the money. Because
hmm
remember, they only work an hour a week. And this show up do good thing with that slick video that they put out in December, half if not 2/3 of the pictures were Invictus pictures. That's got nothing to do with Archwell. That's Invictus. That's a whole nother entity by itself. And yet they had Invictus pictures in this video, which I thought was completely inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. Oh, that's a topic that really bothers me. So getting
Yes.
getting back to the documentary, were
Mhm.
they also critical of the royal family?
I don't think they were critical of the royal family. I think they showed a lot of sympathy towards the royal family because, as they pointed out, and as Harry's soldier friend pointed out, Harry never said the word racism. And when the word racism went around, he could have corrected the narrative, and he didn't
hmm
until 3 years later. And by then it was too late. And now there's a cloud hanging over the royal family that's going to forever be there. In 100 years, they'll still be talking about this allegation. It's like a stain that'll never go away. And they also pointed out that the royal family has not been able to respond. They cannot respond to these constant attacks. And they also brought up Catherine's cancer. And towards the end, they said William's not bothering with Harry because William is busy with his wife and his father. And they even said at the end, and it's in my video, that Harry's lobbing bombs at them, trying to destroy them from across the ocean.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not working.
seriously. He needs to give it up already.
He won't.
Yeah.
He won't. This is a man that supposedly is so in love with his wife, which I think we all know. After 6 years of marriage, I've been married over 25 years now. You don't have this, oh, lovey dovey honey crap 5, 6 years in. They want you to believe that their marriage is so perfect and they're lovey dovey all the time and they never fight and everything's just fine. And he's so happy here in the United States. People that are so happy with their lives are content. This man is not content. He's
hmm
constantly whining and beating on about something.
hmm
He's obviously not happy.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's all over his face.
It's, oh my God, it's terrible.
So I was married to a narcissist myself, and my marriage was about 10 years. And you can actually look at pictures of me before marrying him, while I was marrying him, and then when I got divorced. And
Sure.
literally, he dulled my shine. Like, I don't know how to describe it. So I feel like Harry right now, he's a shell of a person.
You know
He's
what you're describing? As you're saying that, you know what's flashing through my brain?
what?
The pictures of Harry at Invictus, at the last Invictus. And then everybody said he was his normal Harry. And then Meghan showed up with her black dress doing I had to get my little ones, their milkshakes. I had to make sure that because the little ones are so little. And from the minute she showed up, he was a different person. He acted differently. He looked different. He looked stiff, nervous, and unhappy the whole
Yes.
time he was at Invictus. Once she showed up, before she showed up, there was the old Harry. There he
Yeah.
was. Everybody was like so happy to see him.
Yeah, yeah, I completely see that. And I think regardless of how people feel about Harry,
Mm.
he is in a terrible, terrible relationship. He is getting devalued like constantly, and that's why he looks like that. The weight of the world is on his shoulders, just like the weight of the world was on mine when I was married. And I think when he comes out of it, he needs to be, like the Sidley twins say, deprogrammed.
Deprogrammed. He needs to be deprogrammed.
Yeah,
Yes.
completely. Because he's in a
Listen,
cult of one.
I have said this so many times in so many videos over the last year. If a man had married a princess and took her to another country and cut off the family, everybody would be screaming abuse.
Hmm.
But because it's the reverse, nobody's saying anything. I think he's being mentally abused and brainwashed. And now he's got two children. He doesn't want to admit defeat. I think he knew early in that there was a major issue, especially when they went for their last Commonwealth thing, where she was in that ridiculous, she looked like Kermit the Frog in that green dress.
Hmm.
The pictures of him, the way he was looking at her, the way he was looking at William, I think he realized even then that he had made a mistake, but he was too deep in it to get out of the mistake. He now had a child with her. He'd thrown everything to the wolves, and he had no choice. Like his life had taken on an inertia, and he had to go with it. And I think he's stuck. I think it will he will wake up, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to do a professional divorce, like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. They've been married for the last 10 years, but they haven't lived together and they've had nothing to do with each other for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
I think Harry can't bring himself to realize that when William said something that he should have listened.
yeah.
He can't admit that he made a mistake. He won't admit that he made a mistake.
Yeah, I can completely see that. Completely.
Mm-hmm.
So, was there, so I'm wondering, what did your husband think about the documentary? Like, how much does he know about the royal family and Meghan and Harry? And then how did he feel after watching the documentary?
What he knows about Harry and Meghan, he knows from me, from because he's watched my videos for the last 4 years. And what does he think of the documentary? He thought the documentary, again, he said it seemed like they were pro Harry, anti Meghan. He said it almost seems like they were priming him to, I don't know, I don't want to say go home, but they're priming him to try to get his, because his reputation is in the toilet. They're trying to help his reputation.
I completely see that. And I mean, that's what the tabloids have been doing for the last few months also.
Yes, I've noticed
So,
that too.
yeah. So yeah, I think that could happen. And that's his first step, I think, towards freedom from Megan. Like that he needs a group to like pull him out of it. He needs a support system because right now there's nobody around him.
Well, he's
Everyone
lost
is really,
everybody.
yeah, the only person around him, they're allies of Megan. So he literally has nobody to talk to.
His friends can't stand Megan, so they won't come visit. They hate her. He's lost all of his friends. She's the one who sat there and said, I gave up everything. I gave up my home. I gave up my family. I gave up my country. She didn't give up anything. He's the one who gave up his home, his family, and his country. She was living in a rental house with a rental car, and she'd already been written off suits, and she had no work at that time.
Hmm.
So she didn't give anything up. He's the one who gave it all up.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a master manipulator.
Oh my God, she's horrible.
Yeah, she's awful.
Mm.
She's awful. And then you said that there were some like language differences. Was there like one thing that stood out to you the most that was off in the translation?
Oh my God, that would be a question for my husband, not for me. Because he was having trouble. He's been in the United States 27 years and he was listening to the documentary. And then I'd say, I had my notepad and I was like, what was that? And he would go, it means, wait, no, that's not exactly the wording. No, wait, I have to come up with the right words. I mean, even he was having a little bit of trouble with the translation because the words don't really translate. So that would be a question for him. And unfortunately, he's not home. He's out running errands.
Okay, well, we'll have to take a rain check on that
Take
question.
a rain check on that question.
So the other questions I want to ask you are unrelated to the documentary, so I'm going to switch gears a
Okay.
little bit.
Okay.
So, what drew you to the royal family and creating your channel? Like how did that happen?
Okay, well, that was simple. Meghan Markle got engaged to Harry. I was so uber excited when they got engaged. And a lot of people said to me, there's something off. I don't like her. And I was like, you know what? Give the girl a chance. She's going to get in there. She's going to modernize the monarchy. She's going to do great things. I watched the wedding. I was so excited. A couple of my neighbors at my old house, in my old subdivision, actually flew over and were there on the long walk during the carriage procession. They were there. I heard what a great day it was. Everything was so fabulous. And then the next thing I knew, she started doing things that were just rubbing me the wrong way.
Hmm.
And I was watching other YouTubers, the other YouTubers, Yankee Wally, who no longer has a channel. And they would say things, and I think, wait a minute, they forgot to say this, or they didn't mention that. And what about this? And what about that? And I thought, you know what? I have a voice. I'm going to use my voice. And so I started a channel, and I did my first video, and I have absolutely no technical experience. As anybody who sees my very first videos, I didn't even know how to stop the video, the pictures from moving. I mean, they're terrible. And then as I got into it a little bit more, I learned a little bit more about how to make the videos. I still have trouble. I'm still not very technical. Um, even after 4 years, I don't have the technical savvy to do the kind of videos that a lot of other people do. I still can't even make my own thumbnails. I use other people's thumbnails. I can't make thumbnails. I have no idea how. People have tried to teach me. I suck at it. I've had one person send me step-by-step instructions and say, go to this website. And I still can't do it. I'm no good at it. Can't do it.
I think the thumbnails are part of the like the hardest part for me sometimes because
Yes.
and at first I didn't like wasn't very creative and then I came up with, what's going to be my template basically. And still, I will scream at my computer because I want the text to look like this. Why aren't you listening to me? So,
Well, there's one person, she's called the Leam Machine on X,
mhm,
and she does really great work. And now there are some other people like Kylier and that one on X that do some really good work. And sometimes I use their stuff, always with permission.
mhm.
And but I just can't do my own.
And
Just
you know,
can't do
the
it.
the good thing about that is, you can give them shout outs and credits. I actually
I
follow all
do.
three of those accounts, so
Yep.
they're hilarious.
I'm not technical savvy.
I I get it. I get it. I when I started doing live streams, my audio was awful, and then it took me times, and I figured out, and then I was having chat issues, so I fixed the chat, and then I was doing a cleanup of my computer, and I deleted the chat application, and so I've had live streams like 3 times, and I'm like, why isn't the chat working? Well, when I clean up, I guess I go overboard and I deleted
Yeah, you
the
gotta be careful.
software. Yeah. Yeah, so I was able to fix that this morning. So my chat's back on my live streams, which is
That's
great.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I want to get into some like hypothetical and funny questions to
Okay.
end to end. It's like the cherry on top.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if you could choose any member of the royal family, and this includes Harry or Meghan, to have a
Oh,
conversation with, who would it be, and what would be the first question you would ask?
it would be Charles. I'd like to sit down with Charles. And my first question would be, I understand that he's your son, your sweet boy, or whatever it was that you call him, your darling boy. But why aren't you thinking about the monarchy and why don't you say you want out of the royal family? You've attacked this family, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you out of the line of succession. I'm taking your children out of the line of succession. We are removing the title prince. You are now Harry Mountbatten Windsor, Meghan Mountbatten Windsor, and the same for your children. And you're still my son, but now you don't have to worry about the firm bothering you anymore. Why haven't you done that?
Yeah.
Why haven't you done something?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
So
good question.
I mean, I don't understand. after the constant attacks and the constant attacks, I'm just shocked that Charles hasn't said, listen, he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't like it. He says horrible things about the firm. He said horrible things about this and that. So we're going to take that responsibility off of his shoulders. He's still my darling boy. Those are still my grandchildren, but he's no longer a prince and he's no longer in the line of succession.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice
Yeah.
day.
I think I would pick Meghan, and my question would be, how did you prepare for dating and meeting Harry? And that includes, what research did you do? What networking did you do? What places did you go to? What behaviors did you study before the first time you ever saw him?
But you have to add the caveat that she must tell you the truth.
Yeah, it has to be the truth because we've already heard 30 stories about all of this.
She
Yeah.
changes her story about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's too much. Okay. So, next question. If
Okay.
Harry had been the one to name ARO, what do you think he would have called it?
Oh my God. I
Do you want
wish
me
I
to
was
go
one of,
first?
well, yeah, because I wish I was one of those people that was really good with Johnny on the spot questions like that, but I'm not.
So I think it would be some variation of High Grove because like whatever it would be inspired by High Grove. So whether he would say like Montecito Grove or something like that, because I think that that's the energy that Megan is trying to do. And I mean, she's terrible at it and she can't do it. But yeah, I
Well,
think it would be,
she's definitely trying. She put a crown on the top of her ARO logo, and the logo looks just like the insignia on the Buckingham Palace gates.
she's too much.
She's already tried to
Yeah.
she's clinging to the royals that she's been out of the family twice as long as she was ever in it, and yet everything is about those 2 years.
She's been out of the family twice as long, or out of, out of the UK twice as long. Oh my gosh. And
She
she's
married
still,
Harry in 2018. They left in 2020. This is 2024.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you want to go to the next question?
Yeah, let's go to this.
Okay. That was a hard one. That was a hard one.
That's hard for me.
Yeah. So the next question should be easy. What do you think is Harry's most used phrase at home?
Yes, dear. Could you
Yeah.
imagine? Megan's like, and you got to do this. Yes, dear. And I need you to go and say, yes, dear. And when you're on that times thing, I need you to tell people we're still happily married. Yes, dear.
Hmm.
I can just imagine that every other word out of his mouth is yes, dear.
Hmm. Yeah. I completely agree. Like that's what I was gonna say also. I asked this question in one of my live streams, I think. Well, I don't remember. Was it a live stream or an interview I did? I don't remember. But the person was like, "Yes, mommy."
Well, I mean, that's a possibility because remember, she communicates with Diana.
Oh my
Remember, she's in
gosh.
contact with Diana, supposedly.
Oh,
So, did mom agree to that plan? Megan,
oh
did you
my.
talk it over with mom? What did she think? I mean, it's just like,
It's insanity. Complete insanity. So my next question is actually the last question, and it's what do you think is Megan's most used phrase at home?
at home,
Mm-hmm.
your mother said,
Ah.
you need to go do
Yeah.
this because your mother said,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
you know, you, uh, I can't, she's, oh my God, she's obviously got mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she thinks she talks to Diana tells you that she's probably hallucinating, and besides being narcissistic, and she she becomes offended by the least offensive things.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets offended by things that nobody else would be offended by. So she definitely got some mental health issues. Truth is, she just wants to rub elbows. She just uses him to, raise herself up in this world. And I think that once he's served his purpose, she'll get rid of him. I don't think he'll ever leave her, but I think she will leave him once he's used his usefulness.
I think Megan, and this is my opinion, I think Megan is a malignant narcissist, and I say that because her behavior is exactly like my stepmom, and my stepmom is a malignant narcissist.
Hmm.
And I think she doesn't believe in actuality that she's talking to Diana. She's using it to control him. She's using it to push her agenda forward. So let's say, like, for example, they want to go to dinner and Harry wants to go eat Chinese food and Megan really wants to eat a burger. Megan would use that. And I mean, this is a simple example. Megan would say, your mom said we should go have burgers. Like, I feel like that's how she would use it. The thing that I think Megan says all the time at home is, Harry, you idiot.
You can see it. They probably are fighting at home. And I think I just get, I don't know. I just don't understand why he allowed himself to go from William's spare to Megan's spare, because that's essentially what happened. At least when he was with the royal family, he had a role. He was William's wingman. He was one of the most liked royals. Everybody loved him. Now, they wanted to be so famous. Now people can't stand them, either
Yeah.
one of them.
I have a little bit more empathy for Harry because I've been there. You can't underestimate how manipulative and cruel and evil these types of people are. It doesn't, in no way am I justifying Harry's bad behavior because at the end of the day, he has his own brain. He chose those things, he walked that path.
That's
I just,
true. But I mean, like every time he gives an interview or does anything, he talks about his mother. I lost my mother when I was 12. Lots of people lose their parents, but they don't bleed on about it for 30 years, especially after they've been in therapy for 20 years. It's
yeah,
pretty obvious that therapy has done absolutely nothing for him. He is a 40-year-old man with the mindset of he is forever frozen as the 12-year-old who was forced to walk behind his mother's coffin, 30, 28 years ago, whatever it was. It's like, move on, but he can't. He
mhm.
cannot move on. And mentally, he's a 12-year-old.
And it's not, see, and this is where Megan comes in. Megan benefits from him being the 12-year-old. So Megan is
Yes.
continuously re traumatizing him. He
Yep.
cannot grow or move past any of this until he's separate from
when
her.
he when he did that, the me you can't see, and he goes, they're not going to stop until she's dead.
Oh
They
my
want
God.
to kill her just like my mother. I just went, oh. I remember my eyes getting this big and I went, oh my God. She tried to throw herself down the steps at 5 months pregnant like his mother. He believes that his mother was murdered. He doesn't believe that it has nothing to do with the fact that she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. She was in a speeding car with a drunk driver. No,
Yeah.
it's a conspiracy. She has, I mean, Megan has messed with his mind. And I think his mind is easy to mess with. But I got to tell you something. You might find this funny. I was out with my husband one day, and I grabbed his arm and did the two-handed claw grab, like Megan does to Harry all the time. And I started kind of steering him. Oh my God, he was like, "For me, tell me which way to go." I got it. I was like, "Oh, you didn't last." He literally didn't last 30 seconds. She's been doing
Mhm.
that to Harry for 4 years.
I started my channel and actually my Twitter looking, my goal was to find out when did this behavior start, the claw and the grabbing and all of that.
She had the
It
claw
start
on him at the engagement announcement.
before even like 2017, she was doing it the whole time. The only time she wasn't is that walk when they were walking into the Invictus Games. That
Mm,
one, that's the only one I can think of that she's not. Yeah, it's insane. Well, I want to thank you for your time, Sue. This has been so much fun. We have to do this
yeah,
again. Um,
absolutely.
so, everyone, if you want to see more of Sue, here is her channel. And I'm going to link you to the video of the German documentary as translated by Sue's husband and as explained by Sue herself. So, yeah, I want to thank you for being here. And yeah, thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.